Hey everybody, I thought we'd go into some standing work since we are all now sitting a little bit more than we used to and more probably than we should. So I thought I'd give you some easy standing exercises that you can put in throughout the day to just take a break from sitting. I have a few props. I have a yoga block, but you can use anything. Grab a couple of books. I have a band that's in a circle. If you don't have one, just tie a TheraBand together. I have a regular band. I have a small, soft little ball that we're going to start with. And I also have a foam roller so that if you find that you need some help with your balance and you want to be able to work maybe on what you're doing a little bit more and not have to focus on the balance so much, grab a roller and you can use that as well. Back of a chair also works. Stand close to a wall. So lots of options there. We're going to start by just kind of getting the feet moving with a ball that's soft. It's just a little bit bigger than a tennis ball. I know that people often use dog toys, so grab whatever you've got. If all you have is a tennis ball, you could use that as well. So standing on one foot, just start to roll your foot back and forth a little bit. And you can experience more weight, so you're really pushing into it, or maybe you're not putting so much weight, you're just rolling back and forth. Sometimes on the tennis ball or a lacrosse ball, it's not really possible to put too much weight. It's a little too firm. So do what feels good. Just massage the bottom of your foot. And keep one of these under your desk. I actually have a couple of the spiky balls under my desk, and I roll my feet on them as I'm sitting in my different meetings and things. So good to do. Just a few times, back and forth. And notice as you finish that, the sensation that you have in your body. It's really kind of interesting when we're doing some of these foot things, how it improves our balance and how it improves just our general feeling of how we're doing. So we're going to do some foot intrinsics now. If you've taken class with me before, you know these well. So spread your toes out and just start to tilt your ankles so the arch of your foot comes down and the arch of your foot lifts a little bit. Not so big that your toes lift off, that's too big. Just let a little bit of rocking back and forth. And this is the mechanism or the movement that is going to help to keep you on balance. It's going to be much smaller. Sometimes it's bigger, but it's what's going to help you stay in balance. And it's really important that we make sure we have the mobility there so that we can right ourselves if we start to fall off balance a little bit. Now keep your ankle in the middle and start to lift all 10 of your toes up and then spread them out and put them down. Lift them up, spread them open, almost like you're trying to get your big toes to touch and your little toes to get far, far, far out to the side. And I often talk about this, and a lot of our colleagues do too, of this is the bunion preventer and the bunion corrector. It's not for everybody, but it really does help manage your feet and all the bones of your feet as well. So all the little joints and muscles and things, this really helps to mitigate the deformities that happen. So now lift up, keep them up, and just put your little toe down and up. And it is helpful to use your hands. So it's fine if you want to use your hands as you're going. Spread out. Now change to the big toes. Big toe, and it's not just down, but it's closer together. Can you get your big toes closer, closer, closer? Now, big and little at the same time. Totally fine if you want to glance down at your feet. Take a look, see what's happening. Sometimes that connection where you're seeing it really helps it happen. And then whenever you feel like you can, don't look and see if you can make the same thing happen. Leave your little toes or your middle toes up, little and big go down. Last time. And let it go. Shake your legs out. And now take your yoga block or your book and you're going to place it. You have a few different heights. You can go really tall or very short. I'm going to just pick the middle for now. Stand on one foot and bring your other foot up onto the block. Your whole foot can go on or the ball of your foot, kind of depends on what feels good for you. And we're going to start doing a little bit of the exercise spine twist. You recognize this from your mat classes. Take your arms out and notice, because you put your foot up, did your weight kind of sink back? Bring your weight forward. So if you had to, you could lift your heel up and down and then try to maintain that position of your body. Reach and stretch, twist your body, and do very little with the lower body in terms of movement. And then face forward and try to keep the same thing. As you turn to the more open side, it's easy to move the pelvis. So right now, keep the pelvis in place. Do it one more time like that to each side. So get a stretch, maybe even look gently back, come around and twist. Now hold here and allow your pelvis to go forward and back. So now we're rotating around our hip joints and getting some movement there. Come to the front and change sides. And you'll notice the yoga block, it seems pretty sturdy. If you have a foam one though, they're quite wiggly, so it's not altogether all that easier, much easier with a block. Some of them are quite soft. So again, put your foot where it feels good. Just double check your body position. It's not to make it perfect, but it's to get it in the best starting place. So you don't want to start with one hip up too high. Let that whole hip lengthen down. And at the same time, you're still pulling up a little bit on this side. So you're feeling tall. Go ahead and lift your heel and just double check, or where are you? Now, when you set your heel down, try not to let your weight shift backward too much. Keep your weight forward as if you're going to step forward. Take your arms out and rotate. And if you find that your balance is really challenged here, instead of turning your head, keep your head forward and turn your body. So sometimes when we move the head, we've got the inner ear and the eyes that help us with our balance and our placement in space. So sometimes it's easier to do it looking forward. Whichever way you are, hold here. And again, rotate. And it's like I'm trying to breach my knee right into the camera. So I'm turning my pelvis and getting a little movement in my hip joint. And then make your way around to the front. And let your arms come down. You can put the block away. And now grab your band that you've tied in a circle, or if you happen to have one that's already pre-circled, you're going to step into it and put the band just up around your knees, just to the top of your knees, and come up to stand. So we're going to take a movement that's very similar to a leg arc and then move that into a circle. We want to be super mindful of getting to the back. So we want to make sure the leg gets behind us. Just be mindful in your own movement. So take your leg up. And again, if you need to have help with your balance, grab the roller and use it. And just start to move your leg a little forward and a little back. As if you were trying to touch the wall behind you with your foot. And start to make that either direction into kind of an oval or a circle. Go to the back before you go around. Reverse, go the other way. And again, that wobbling feeling is normal. You can't be a statue and have good balance. You have to be like an earthquake building where you're pliable. All right, change feet. Feel yourself pull up. And again, if we're looking from the side, we wouldn't want to have this kind of a posture or this kind of a posture. We want to be tall in the center. And when I shift my weight, hopefully not much changes. So then I start to go front and back. And then I make my way into circles. Sometimes you may only be able to do a couple in each direction. Let's do 4. I think 4 is a good number for today. You may only be able to do 2, and this whole outer hip is on fire. That's okay. Do as many as you can do, and then take a break. Now, if you want to go on with that, we can go into a straight leg version. Another option is to stand up on something. So a yoga block, again, that's sometimes a little wobbly, But if you had a low kind of a step or something that was a little more supportive, you could stand up on that, and then your leg will definitely be able to clear the ground. All right, so like before, pull up on this leg, and you could just go front to side, or you could go front all the way around. And this is where you need to get to the back and then come through. 3 in each direction I think will be good for today. And change. And again, if you need help with your balance, grab something, it's helpful. I really like how Sherry teaches this. She'll have a dowel or something and not put it on the ground, but she'll actually hold it up in the air. And so for as long as I can maintain my balance, I'm not getting any help from this really, but if I was to fall, I could put it down. So that's a nice way to adapt it. And then relax. Good. Slip the band off of your legs. And we're going to go into the 100. Now, everybody's familiar with the 100, our breathing exercise. But we're going to do it with some different positions. One is we're going to be standing up, so that's different. And we're going to use the band to help create some leverage almost. So can you use your arms in the band to help you get into these different positions that we're going to go into? So we're going to start band at the front of the thigh, stand as tall as you can, get everything as close to the middle of your body as possible, and then start to press your hands back, 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 and you can breathe in for 5 of those. And breathe out for 5. And breathe in. And breathe out. And notice as you're going, did your posture get a little schlumpy? Did your knees bend? Keep pressing. And now let's change it. Take the band from the back. Now you're going to be pulling forward. Let's see, what's that? It's like pull, 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 pull. And on this one, if you'd like to, go into your chest lift position and round, so it really looks like you're in the position of the 100. Inhaling and exhaling, making sure you haven't let your chin get too close to your chest. I think we're at about 100, so that means it's time to change positions. Take the band overhead. And you might miss a little bit of my hands, but you can understand how this is. And now I want you to reach up to the ceiling and make a little arch in your body. So again, if I turn to the side, I'm not arching at my low back, but I'm arching at my upper back, and I'm pressing my pelvis forward. And now I'm going to push back, 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 inhaling and exhaling. And notice how when you exhale in this position, you can really feel your ribs gliding down towards your pelvis in the front. One more time. And then stop. Face the front, Shelly, and go to the side. Go over into your side bend like the mermaid, and go over to the other side like the mermaid. And again, did anything swoosh, or were you able to keep the legs pretty stationary? Your weight is shifting, but you're not letting your hips go to the side. Go over this time and hold. And now you're just going to push the top arm to the side a little bit and do your 100 here. So breathe in and breathe out. And again, how is this different than how we normally do it? What do you notice and experience in your own body that's different than lying on the ground? You might feel you can breathe into your ribs a little bit more, to the sides of your ribs, which is cool. And then center, and bring your arms down. So we're going to go down onto the floor now in a lunge. And if this is sensitive on your knees, you can completely stay in standing. And we'll probably go into a squatting position, something like this. Otherwise, come down onto your knees. You could also sit on a stool or sit on the edge of a chair and do this same motion. So sitting and coming into a position where you might be down on your legs this way. All right. So for here, we're going to go into some prone exercises that we normally would do face down. The first of those is the swan, or the prone press up. That's like the baby swan. So put your body down. If you need to put your fingertips down, you can, and you're kind of looking down in front of your foot. And then come up, maybe put your hands to your legs, and just a little bit of a lift, and come back down. And so what that looks like is your ribs stay against your thigh, and you lift the top part up, and you create an arch. And then you come back down, and you create an arch. And your hands can push a little bit to help you do that. Keep your lower ribs against your thigh though, because if you lift your ribs up, you're not going to curve in your upper back as much. All right, changing the position a little bit, take your hands behind your head. Now you're going to press a little forward into your lunge. Your spine is going to stay long, and we're going to go into crisscross, rotating and rotating. And again, your lower body is managing your balance. It's not moving around too much, it's just there to support you. Turn. Last set. Going around, like you're spiraling around the center axis of your body, your spine. Come up, and let's change sides. So now take the other leg to the front, and bring your whole rib cage down onto your leg, down on your thigh. Hands can be down, and again, if you had yoga blocks and you wanted to put your hands on blocks, that would be really great. Come up in a way that curves your upper back, but your lower ribs don't leave your thigh. Up and down. And again, if you push, you can push down on your leg, down or on your knee. That's going to help you get yourself a little bit more curve in your upper back. So sometimes people mistake coming up really high in the swan for actually getting a curve in the upper back, and that's really where we need it. Last one. Just like before, lean a little forward now. Your knee is going to be more over the front part of your foot, hands behind your head. Rotate. And so hopefully you can see that spiral around the center. So I'm not going off to the side. I'm really trying to stay in line with my spine. We're doing 4 times. And this will be our last one. And then come up and come on down. All right, so now let's take a seat, and we're going to just finish up with a little bit of seated work. And your weight is going to be back a little bit. So if you feel like you're sitting a little behind your sit bones, that's okay for this because we're not going to go into the mermaid. You're actually going to put your hands down behind you if you need to. Lean back a little bit and then change your legs to the other side, and you can sit back up. Lean back, change, and come back up. So not so much of a abdominal exercise as much of just get your weight to rock back so you can change your feet. Now, if you don't need your hands, make this a little bit more of a balance and control exercise where you're working on your hip mobility and your spine reactivity. So you're able to manage yourself as you lose your balance. And back. But again, hands down is fine. And rest there. Turn now. You're going to keep your legs where they are and leave your feet down and turn your body and sit tall and spiral around. Go to the other side. And again, it's totally fine to use your hands. When you get to this side, push a little bit into your hands, float your heart up, let your back hip lift. Turn, lift, turn. If you don't need your hands, use them only at the end. Turn, and lift, and turn, I hope that that's been some fun movement to get you out of your sitting, rounded, everything computer focus. Hopefully you get to experience being a little more upright, some standing work, and just a break, which we need all the time. Thanks for tuning in.